If you don't mind, I'd like to hold on to it.
Well, suit yourself.
Diesel-powered?
It's turbojet assisted. Baby's got a lot of torque.
Hi, this is the Professional Amateur Hour coming to you with another review. This week, I checked out Neon City, and this 1991 film was directed by Monte Markham and stars Michael Ironside, Vanity, and Lyle Alzaldo, among others, of course. The story of this movie takes place in this post-apocalyptic world where everything's kind of being destroyed. I think they say what happened is like there's a tech CEO billionaire who decides to try to get world peace by shooting a laser at the ozone. I know, whatever, right? And it actually like pops the ozone, so now we have no ozone and everything's just like flooded with radiation from the sun and there's snow everywhere. And that's kind of the world that they exist in. And so the story itself involves this bounty hunter, and he has captured this woman who escaped from Neon City, which is way on the other side of the country. And so he's got to take her back there. So he gets a ticket on this bus caravan type of thing that's driven by this guy that has a feud with him as well. And so, yeah, it's just kind of them going across country in the post-apocalyptic world that they have. What will happen, though? Will they make it to the Neon City? Well, for that, you gotta watch the movie and find out. All right, so let's discuss this movie. Well, with this one, I gotta say, you know me, I love these post-apocalyptic road trip movies. I just think they're so much fun. And this one, I think, does it really well. They have one character that has like never been to the US. They say they come from Switzerland and they're just like traveling across this wasteland for whatever reason. And they really serve as like the eyes and ears of the audience. And they ask questions. What is this? Why does that happen? And she gets answers for all her questions. So it's great as an audience member. You really get to understand this world and kind of what it's like. And there's so many different interesting things about this one. First of all, I think it's filmed in like Canada or something, and so it's just like the plains of Canada, and it's just like snow everywhere too, and there's just like, you know, a few centimeters of snow, so it's not even that much. And so it's an interesting look to a post-apocalyptic world, and it doesn't really make sense when you think about it. Like, if there's more radiation from the sun, don't you think there would be, you know, more heat? But no, it's cold, I guess. So everything kind of, I don't know, is visually appealing. It doesn't necessarily work that way. And they have interesting things to go along with that because they have no ozone as well. Sometimes there's this like a really bright spot on the earth and everything's just covered in radiation from the sun, and they get through that and all that different type of stuff. It's all really interesting. And they have other things that certainly work as well that just go by in like passing. It's really great that way. They drive past like a factory or something, and you know, our clueless character asks, hey, what's that? Like, why is there a factory that's working when everything else is destroyed? And they explain it as like, when, you know, the apocalypse happened, some cult or whatever just decide to lock themselves in a self-sustaining factory, so it'll just, you know, run for 1,000 years and no one can go in or out. And I don't know, it's just a very interesting idea. They have other ones that aren't really talked about as well, like the Caravan bus thing that they have is kind of turbo powered, and I put that in quotes because the turbo powered is just them like pulling, like, not like the handbrake or whatever, but just like pulling a crank and really just adding momentum to, you know, the tires or the axles or whatever it is. And I always thought that was like a clever little thing. Like, I've watched this movie, you know, probably 10 years ago. And so just having this guy like crank it to be turbo powered is just wonderful to see, even though, you know, they never really mention anything or how that turbo power works. It's just them, you know, adding momentum to the axles. So it's really fun that way. A great, you know, post-apocalyptic world for you to discover. In addition, it was great to see Michael Ironside as a protagonist in this one. He's the main character, and I think he really does carry the movie with his personality and his character. He certainly does kind of embody what the bounty hunter really is. So seeing him in this one certainly was really great. The supporting cast is really good. The person who plays the woman, I think her name is Vanity, and she does an excellent job. She's really fun. There's, I guess, was it Lyle? He plays this guy named Bulk, and he's just such a fun character as well. And they all have their own character arcs, and they, learn to get along and that type of stuff. So all of the characters in this world, team together, find the strengths to overcome their differences, and it's wonderfully attractive that way to, any film goer or film watcher that, decides to press play on this one. And the bus caravan thing is really cool as well. It's just like a camper, I guess, but it seems like bigger on the inside than it should be, which is, fine. That's movie magic for you. But just to see it go through this like winter landscape is really interesting. And the landscape itself is really cool as well. And it's, I don't know, just a fun road trip movie. And that brings me to what doesn't work with this movie. Well, like from an audience perspective, I think it's just fun to go along with this road trip. Though I will admit it is very low stakes. Like it seems like if the woman escapes, nothing's going to happen. He's just going to lose out on some money. Even if they, blow up their van or whatever, no one's going to know. And so it really does seem like there's no real point to it. And like half these people are just going to Neon City for like a trip. Like I think there's a doctor and he says, oh, I'm going to start a new business. There's a performer, I'm going to do a performance. The woman from Switzerland is going to go visit her father. And so it never seems like any of it's really kind of important. And I would say that makes it ultimately for kind of a forgettable movie. I have seen this movie like 10 years ago, and I really only remembered, that hang crank and that factory, but any of the story points, any of the characters, completely forgettable because there's no like heightened impact on anything. It's just like, oh, this is what they're doing. They're going on a road trip. And that certainly does, I think, affect your enjoyment in the long run. While you're watching it, though, you're having lots of fun. You just might not remember it, the week later. Other than that, I think the picture quality is not the best. It kind of seems like it's just like a VHS, copy. And that certainly is something to forgive. Nothing to really, shake a fist at or whatnot. I did watch it on Tubi, so that's just kind of the quality that they have. If there is a remastered version out there, it certainly was not the one I watched. So you can see like the little squiggles sometimes in the picture, but hey, it is what it is. You can't have, perfect quality, especially from these older pieces of media. So put on your best seeing glasses and, press play. As for my recommendation, well, if you like road trips through the apocalypse, this is certainly one to press play on. You can't get much better than this one. It's just low stakes, as I mentioned. If you're a fan of Michael Ironside, he's great in this one. He's wonderful to watch. If you're just looking for like an easy watch, I think that this certainly feels very easy to get into and very just easy to go along with. So I think there's probably a wide variety of people that would enjoy this one. So if that sounds like you, then press play on this one. I think you can find it on Tubi. As for my rating, well, I had quite a good time watching it, so I'm going to give it the pretty fun score of 6.7. And with that being said, I think that's all I wanted to say. So like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.